The disappearance of a young mother and her 3-year-old son turns a small southern town upside down.
It shocked everyone in the community.
A large amount of blood was found in the trunk of the car.
They may have a double homicide on their hands.
The search for the missing mother and child teeters on the edge of hope and horror.
People thought that they were hearing a voice.
It's a spooky situation.
But the true terror is still to come.
He was just left to die like a piece of garbage. Whoever did this was an absolute monster.
April 23rd, 2008. It's a sleepy spring afternoon in the tight-knit community of Clarksdale, Mississippi, a town of 18,000 deep in the Mississippi Delta.
Clarksdale is a nice town, just a small community, a lot of churches in that area.
But just before 5 o'clock, Clarksdale police receive a call from a concerned resident who requests their immediate presence at an alley behind the local funeral home.
When they arrived, they found Carol Dixon and her granddaughter, Rena, waiting by the car.
Katrina and her youngest son, Frankie Dumas, went missing earlier that afternoon when she didn't pick up Rena from school.
What seems to be the problem, ma'am?
It's my daughter, Katrina.
They did the initial trying to find her as far as contacting people that she may have known and things of that nature.
Have you reported her missing?
No.
But then, almost 2 hours after the 27-year-old's disappearance, her mother and daughter found her abandoned car.
When Carol and Rena found the car abandoned in the alley, they immediately called the police.
It's just not like her.
Okay. Go check the car.
One of the officers were able to jimmy the lock to get inside of the car and open the car doors.
Everything inside the vehicle appears normal, but the trunk tells a different story.
There was what appeared to be blood in the trunk area.
Katrina Dumas was a young mother making a life for herself and her children in her hometown of Clarksdale.
Katrina is very fun-loving, outgoing, a wonderful mother.
She always appeared nice and always happy.
She came from a family that was very close.
She grew up in the church and she did that community service as far as always staying involved in the community.
Katrina came from a very religious family, and she was religious herself, but she had this fun-loving, carefree spirit that sometimes got her into trouble.
But when Katrina gave birth to her daughter Rena at the tender age of 17, her family stood by her.
Her family wasn't really that thrilled about her getting pregnant at such an early age, but they were really supportive of her and rallied behind her.
Although Katrina's relationship with Rena's father didn't pan out, her family was there to help her achieve her goals.
Katrina graduated high school and then went on to a local community college for a couple of years.
She ended up dropping out of college, though, before she got a degree.
She wanted to stay home and concentrate on being the best mother she could be to Rena.
As always, Katrina's family did everything they could to make that happen.
Katrina's mom bought her a house so that she and her daughter could live there.
It's good out here. Yes, everything is coming together, isn't it?
However, while Katrina and her daughter had a place to call their own, there was still one thing missing.
Katrina had a house, she had a family, but she didn't have a man in her life.
In her early 20s, Katrina took a job at a local restaurant where she soon met a man that would change her life forever.
Katrina met Fred Leonard at a restaurant where she was working at the time.
Hey, how you doing?
14 years older than Katrina, Fred Leonard was a bit of a local legend.
I actually went to school with Fred Leonard. We were on the same basketball team together. He got a scholarship to Mississippi Delta Community College, and from there, he went to school in Oregon.
He almost made it to the NBA. You know, so Pops out, he was a superstar in basketball.
Even though Fred didn't make it to the pros, he always made a lasting impression on everyone he came in contact with.
He was a big guy. He probably 6'5", 6'6", well over 200 pounds.
Can I get the check, please?
Sure.
Very charming, you know. Ladies man.
Sounds my favorite way to be doing.
Stop. Don't make me miscount.
The attraction between Katrina and Fred was instant. However, there was one small stumbling block.
All right, have a good day, okay?
You too.
He couldn't help but notice Katrina. But he was married.
Not that it mattered much to Fred, apparently.
Katrina was a nice-looking woman.
She had a smile out this world.
In 2001, the door opened for Katrina and Fred to foster more than just a friendship.
His wife divorced him and they went their separate ways.
After his divorce from his wife, it became something more between he and Katrina.
They went on some dates, and that initial attraction just took off.
They was in love, man.
In the spring of 2005, after 4 years of dating, Fred and Katrina welcomed a baby boy into the world. They named him Frankie.
With her having my younger brother, I kind of called him Mama Trina.
But before long, the stress of a new baby began to put a strain on Katrina and Fred's relationship.
Hey, where you going?
Out.
What do you mean out?
Just out.
Things eventually went south for Katrina and Fred because she was much younger than him. And they were just at different points in their lives.
Everybody go through things. No one is perfect. Everybody have problems in their relationship.
But while Katrina was growing as a mother, Fred was growing in love with another woman named Jessie Marvin.
She worked in the school systems for Clarksdale Municipal School District.
Not too long after starting their relationship, Fred and Jessie had a little baby boy. And Fred made a commitment to end things with Katrina and commit his life to Jessie. And they got married.
Despite everything, Katrina harbored no ill will toward Fred.
Katrina and Fred remained close friends.
Rather than dwell on the past, Katrina moved forward with her own life.
Katrina started a business with her mom selling plate lunches to working people around the area.
That was a means for her to make a few dollars around in the community.
Shortly after launching her business, Katrina met a new man named Jack Rafferty.
He was a gentleman that worked at the grocery store.
What do you feed, an army?
No, I make lunches for people.
Oh, so maybe you can make lunch for me sometime.
He's a really great guy. He's handsome. He has everything going for him. And she really likes him.
Hey, bro.
Thanks.
Lunch led to dinner, and before long, Jack and Katrina were a couple.
She had this thriving new business, and her relationship with Jack was going great, so she seemed really, really happy to everyone around her.
But on the afternoon of April 23rd, 2008, the life Katrina built for herself suddenly falls apart.
Katrina left her parents' house with little Frankie to deliver lunches, but never came back.
This happened somewhere around noon that day.
At first, her parents didn't think much of it. They thought maybe she was just running some errands or something like that.
By 3 o'clock, Katrina's parents are beginning to panic.
They get a call from the school. Katrina hadn't picked up Rena.
Katrina's mom, Carol, goes to pick up Rena. She tries to call Katrina over and over again, but she's not answering the phone.
Call me when you get this message. I'm so worried about you. Call me, please.
2 hours later, Katrina's mother is still trying to reach her. That's when her granddaughter Rena notices something unusual.
Granny, what is it? I just saw Mama's car. Come on, let's go. Okay, let me grab my keys.
Rena was actually on a porch and she could see the intersection down the street and she could see the car as it came up the street and made a turn.
But it wasn't her mother at the wheel.
After telling her grandmother what she saw, Rena and her grandmother both jumped in the vehicle in search of where the car went.
As Katrina's mother and daughter begin their frantic search, they have no idea that this is just the first twist in what will become a serpentine search for the truth.
This whole story shocked everyone in the community.
And that will lead from one horrifying discovery
Inside the trunk, we found a heavy concentration of blood.
To the next.
To have left the child there to die. Why would you even go as far as to doing something like that is beyond me.
27-year-old Katrina Dumas was well known around the small southern community of Clarksdale, Mississippi.
Her father was a prominent minister at a local church.
A lot of people knew her father, Reverend Dumas. They knew him and they knew her.
She had a kitchen caterer service. She sell plate lunches.
She would deliver plates around town to working people, especially the people that went to her father's church.
But on the afternoon of April 23rd, 2008, Katrina and her 3-year-old son, Frankie, make a delivery and never return.
Katrina did not pick up her daughter from school.
It's not norm for her not to be there for her children.
Her disappearance grows even more confusing when Katrina's daughter, Rena, spots her mom's car around 5 o'clock that evening.
It wasn't Katrina driving. They thought it was a male driver.
Rena and her grandmother, Carol, immediately set off in pursuit.
Turn here, Granny.
But as the car heads into town, they lose sight of it.
Unwilling to give up, Rena and her grandmother circle through town.
It has to be somewhere around here.
Finally, they spot the car in an alley behind the funeral home.
That's the car right there. That's her car.
They made a phone call to the police department and said that they had found the vehicle in the alley.
Once police arrive on the scene, they realize they could be dealing with more than just a missing persons case.
The car was searched. Blood was found in the trunk, and this was pretty fresh blood.
It became clear that there was a foul play involved.
In a small town like Clarksdale, both the police and sheriff's office team up to solve the case.
The Clarksdale Police Department called for assistance.
The sheriff's department got involved quite quickly, aiding the police department.
The first course of action is to impound the vehicle and open up a missing persons investigation.
What do you got?
We made the decision that we were going to call Mississippi Crime Lab and let them process the vehicle. So what we did was we contacted one of our local record services, had them come pick the vehicle up and store it out of the weather to where we could do fingerprints, any type of analysis that they needed to do.
Detectives also try to determine how the car ended up in the alley behind the funeral home. Based on Rena's statement, they knew it wasn't Katrina who'd abandoned the car.
We searched the area real good for surveillance cameras, tried to see if we could see anyone that left, on foot or maybe somebody picked up or whatever. But no, they weren't.
Segments, I did a canvas of the neighborhood, no witnesses to when the vehicle got here, and nobody said they saw anybody getting in or out of that vehicle.
With no witnesses and no physical description of the driver, detectives asked Katrina's mother for more information about her daughter's personal life.
She told them Katrina had recently started seeing a man by the name of Jack Rafferty.
Detectives issue a bolo for Jack and are able to bring him in for questioning later that evening.
When's the last time you saw Katrina?
Probably a few days ago, but I did talk to her on the phone last night.
Though Jack is cooperative, detectives immediately sense there may be more to his relationship with Katrina than he's letting on.
Is she seeing anyone else?
Well, her old boyfriend, Fred Leonard's been around a little more than I like.
It turned out that Katrina and Fred's relationship didn't fizzle out like everyone thought it had.
Katrina is still spending time with Fred, and that seemed to make him a little bitter, which made the detectives suspicious.
You don't seem to be happy with Fred still being in the picture.
Well, no, but I never do anything to hurt Katrina.
Where were you this afternoon?
According to Jack, he was at work until approximately 5 o'clock, and that was the same time that Rena saw someone driving her mom's car.
Though detectives have their suspicions, they have no probable cause on which to detain Jack Rafferty.
They let Jack go, but they make a point to let him know that they're going to follow up with his employer just to make sure that the story is true.
It doesn't take detectives long to confirm Jack's alibi.
Jack's coworkers confirm he was at work all day.
Next, detectives move to track down Fred Leonard.
He lived over in Farrell, Mississippi, which is a rural part of the area outside of the city of Clarksdale.
I knew Fred. I used to live in Farrell, and he lived probably 100 yards around the corner from my house.
Detectives make the 15-minute drive to Farrell, where they find Fred outside his home.
Fred Leonard?
Yeah.
Interviewing Fred, he said that he took his wife to work that morning, dropped her off at school, and then he called Katrina.
Did you talk to her today?
Yeah. And I saw her this morning, too. I was at the grocery store, and
she was at the local grocery store here, and he told her, well, go ahead and shop, and I'll wait on you outside. When they came out, Fred was sitting outside in his vehicle, parked beside hers.
They talked for a little bit, and they then left and went to a local restaurant and bought breakfast.
Fred said that he sat in the car just briefly with his son and said he played with his son for a few minutes. And then he said he had to get back to Farrell. And from that point, he said he kissed his little boy, and then she left.
Did you see Katrina and Frankie after that?
nah. Man, I got me worried sick about her now.
What'd you do after that?
I went and picked up my uncle, and we went back to Farrell.
He'd gone to go help his uncle to put up drywall in a house that his uncle was building.
Fred says he left his uncle's house shortly before 2:30 that afternoon.
He'd gone home, cleaned up, then picked up his wife from work around 3 p.m.
So when did you find out Katrina was missing?
Only just a couple hours ago. Her sister called me and let me know.
One of the sisters asked Fred had he seen Katrina because she hadn't been home. And He stated that he didn't.
In fact, Fred says he just got back home after searching for them himself.
Fred said he had been trying to contact Katrina and had not been able to.
While Fred's story seems fairly cut and dried, detectives can't help but wonder if he's telling the whole truth.
I asked him, had Katrina had a new boyfriend? And he was like, yeah. I said, what do you feel about that? And he was like, I don't have a problem with it.
So, no problems at all?
No, I mean, Katrina and I, we had an arrangement.
He kind of gave me the impression that he felt like, he could still see her when he wanted to or whatever.
We're gonna have to go talk to your uncle. But, I guess that's it for now.
After speaking to Fred, detectives work to verify his alibi. But even if Fred's story checks out, it presents investigators with another person of interest.
Did his wife know that after dropping her off at work, Fred was going to meet up with Katrina?
They had to look at the possibility that Jesse is jealous of Katrina and that jealousy turned to anger and rage.
You never know what your significant other think if they feel like they're being played. And it's dangerous, because you don't know what's going on. You don't know who's watching.
April 24th, 2008. It's been nearly 24 hours since Katrina Dumas and her 3-year-old son Frankie went missing, and police are no closer to finding them.
After they found the abandoned car full of blood in the trunk, they feared the worst.
They knew that it wasn't looking good as far as, them being found alive.
The news deeply disturbs Katrina's tight-knit hometown of Clarksdale, Mississippi.
The community was sort of uprising, particularly because of the little kid, the little 3-year-old boy. It touched a lot of people.
Flyers began to go up around town. Family and friends joined the search.
Law enforcement and then just regular citizens out attempting to try to help locate Katrina and little Frankie.
We had a lot of people out there that knew Katrina. There was a lot of community support as far as trying to locate her.
While the community bands together in the search effort, detectives are zeroing in on a new person of interest.
They were wondering if Katrina's ex-boyfriend's wife, Jessie, may have had something to do with her disappearance.
The interview with Katrina's boyfriend, Jack, led them to Katrina's ex-boyfriend, Fred Leonard, who she'd apparently still been meeting up with.
You wouldn't like me dealing with no outside chick, would you? It wouldn't be right.
As the search for Katrina continues, detectives bring Jessie in for questioning.
She became a person of interest. We did pick up and talk to her.
So, Jesse, where were you yesterday between noon and 3?
I was at work. When the detectives began to ask whether or not Jessie knew that Fred was meeting up with Katrina, she becomes livid, upset.
Do you know where Fred was at?
Saying something about helping his uncle.
Did you know that Fred was on a breakfast date with Katrina?
What?
From my understanding, they knew about each other and there was some animosity between the two of them.
They met a couple of times and they had some harsh words towards each other.
But does Jessie and Katrina's volatile history mean Jesse's responsible for Katrina's disappearance?
Did you leave campus?
No, I was in class all day.
She said she was at work early in the morning, and of course the school system doesn't let out till after 3 o'clock.
And Katrina disappeared sometime between noon and 3.
However, during her interview, Jessie tells detectives she's not the only woman in Fred's life who doesn't get along with Katrina.
Have y'all talked to Yara yet?
Yara?
Frederick's ex-wife.
According to Jessie, Yara was really not happy that Fred had started hooking up with Katrina before the ink was even dry on their divorce.
After questioning Jessie, detectives check up on her alibi.
Jessie's coworkers confirmed what she said.
But just as detectives attempt to contact Yara, they're interrupted by an urgent message.
We had received an anonymous call.
Detective Ramirez.
The anonymous caller told them they'd find Katrina at Travelers Church, an isolated church out in the country.
All right, thank you. I got a lead on Katrina. Let's go.
Detectives rush to the small church located just outside the town of Farrell.
It's kind of a secluded area out there where the church was. We searched the general area directly behind the church and the field area by foot, just looking around. We were just concentrated on trying to locate her and locate the child.
Despite what appeared to be a promising lead,
Katrina!
The search proves fruitless.
Katrina!
We were out there for about an hour or so. Didn't find anything.
Meanwhile, Katrina's family redoubles their efforts to find the missing mother and child.
The family go throughout Clarksdale searching for her.
I told God, God help me find them.
Teaming up with a cousin, Fred's oldest son, Frederick Akins, scours the countryside between Clarksdale and Farrell.
Me and my cousin walked through abandoned houses and called Mama Trina.
At first, they don't have any more luck than law enforcement.
Around 5 p.m., Frederick receives a frantic call from his grandmother.
The grandmother had just received an anonymous tip.
Hold on.
The anonymous caller claims that they knew exactly where Katrina and her son could be found.
Grandma, calm down. Oh, they said what?
She said, call her. It sounded like he or she had a towel over her mouth. They said, Katrina and my little brother supposed to have been tied to some tractor ties behind a church.
We on the way. We on the way. We gotta go, man. We gotta go.
Only this time, the caller doesn't say which church.
It's 2 churches in the country. The Sheriff Church and the church in Farrell. All the law enforcement in Farrell did a church.
Frederick and his cousin make a beeline to the church in Sherrard.
Me and my cousin walk around the church calling the name. No answer. So I go to the wood behind the church, calling the name.
Frankie!
No answer.
Frankie!
Coming out of church is the wood. You can see the beginning of the wood coming out of church, but you can't see deep off in there.
Hold on. What's over here?
So my cousin take off in the wood. Bam! I take off in the wood behind him.
Wait up!
But we go deep in there now. That's when I see my little brother.
Hey, he's over here!
Frankie's in the woods all by himself.
He had several lacerations on him from where he was tied up.
He had been out there for over 24 hours.
Frankie!
Who do something like that to a 3-year-old, man?
24 hours after Clarksdale, Mississippi native Katrina Dumas and her 3-year-old son Frankie disappeared, Frankie's half-brother Frederick Akins has found the toddler in the woods behind a country church in nearby Sherrard.
We go deep in there now. I get my little brother.
Someone tried to tie him up and left him in the woods to die.
Frankie's alive, but just barely.
There wasn't no way my little brother was supposed to be survived out there.
Frankie!
Frederick rushes his little brother to the hospital, where he is immediately admitted to the ER.
He's severely dehydrated, covered in bug bites, but he seems like he's going to be okay.
He had multiple insect bites and possibly a snake bite.
He was sort of lucky. A coyote could have came through that night and ate him. There was alligators out there in that area.
And it rained pretty bad that night of the 23rd into the 24th.
When young Frankie comes to, it's clear he's in a state of shock.
There was 4 nurses in the room with him, and he was in an unfamiliar environment. He was frightened.
The poor child has been through everything, and the doctors make police back off when trying to talk with him.
He's just not ready for you guys yet.
I got with the doctor. I said, doctor, I won't take that child from head to toe and examine him. The only thing I wanted to do is make sure he was okay and good medical attention, and then we'll come back and talk to him.
The doctors decided to transfer little Frankie to the Children's Hospital in Memphis.
While Frankie is prepped for his transfer, detectives pull his half-brother Frederick aside for questioning.
It was kind of odd to us that he went directly, to the spot where the child was located.
How'd you know where to go?
Somebody called my grandma. Who did? I don't know.
It was an anonymous phone call. God on the truth. They said, don't nobody get out there and find the baby, he gonna die.
Police were wondering if this could be the same anonymous caller who sent them to the wrong church earlier.
But what about Katrina? The fact that Frankie has been found alive gives police and family a glimmer of hope.
Once Frankie was located, there was a big search in that area.
We got about 30, 40 minutes of daylight. After that, it's pitch black dog out there.
As the sun begins to set, the searchers suddenly have reason to redouble their efforts.
Hey, wait. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I did. Let's go.
There were several deputies and search personnel that thought that they was hearing her voice in the woods.
They heard someone say, over here, and they thought it was a female voice.
Could it really be Katrina?
That time of year, especially over there on the west side of the county, where it's rural and a lot of trees, we would expect to hear some noises as the wind was blowing through those trees.
There's a lot of animals in this county. A panther can sound like a woman. So I guess it's some illusions, and they want to find her. Every little sound they probably associate with a voice.
The search team spends the next few hours chasing the phantom voice through the ever-darkening woods.
Unfortunately, they were never able to find where that voice was coming from.
It was 11, 12 o'clock at night when Sheriff Thompson finally called off the search and said we would resume the next day.
The law shouldn't have never left that area. If you hear a voice, you're supposed to secure that area until the missing found. Period. I'm not no law enforcement, but I know that. Why the hell would you leave this area if you done heard the voice?
At sunrise, the search for Katrina continues.
Early Friday morning, we back at the crime scene. Helicopters, law enforcement, everything.
We searched the area south of where the little Frankie was found, walking the woods and walking the area, trying to pick up any footprints or trail that we could.
Searchers don't find any signs of Katrina, but they do find something.
The searchers discovered numerous marijuana plants scattered around the woods.
We do have a drug problem. We had gang problems during that time.
They were serious gangs, and there was kind of a connection between Clarksdale and others who came out of Clarksdale and gone to Chicago.
Could drugs have something to do with Katrina's disappearance?
While the search party continues to scour the woods, detectives receive a call from Frederick's ex-wife, Yara Lawson.
Detectives had put the call out to Yara before the anonymous tip came in that sent detectives in a different direction.
Detectives ask Yara to come down to the station for an interview.
Yara doesn't deny having issues with Katrina and that they'd had at least one physical altercation in the past.
But Yara is adamant that doesn't mean she'd ever try to murder Katrina or her little boy.
She denies having anything to do with it.
Instead, Yara points them in an entirely different direction.
There's only one person that could have done this.
And who would that be?
Fred Leonard.
According to Yara, the day their divorce was finalized 8 years earlier, Fred almost killed her.
He is alleged to have went in and strangled her with an electrical cord from a lamp.
Honestly, he probably thought I was dead. And you know what he said while he was choking me?
What'd he say?
If I can't have you, no one will.
Although Yara's statement is shocking, detectives have no way to prove it actually happened.
I don't think she ever filed charges on him or anything.
Still, it does raise an unsettling possibility.
Was it possible that Fred got angry that Katrina was seeing someone new?
As detectives plan their next move, they receive an urgent call. It seems the search party's efforts have finally paid off.
At around 5 p.m. that afternoon, 48 hours after she had disappeared, they finally find Katrina.
But unlike little Frankie, this time, help has come far too late.
This person wanted to make sure that she was gone.
48 hours after she disappeared, and just 24 hours after her young son's miraculous rescue, a search party has found Katrina Dumas's body.
She was basically found maybe 2 to 3 miles away from where the child was located.
It was a graveyard where she was found. Just from what I saw, she had been there for quite a while.
She had scratches as if she had been dragged through all the weeds and the brambles and placed out there.
News of the discovery spreads quickly.
When y'all heard Mama Trina out there, it hurt. The sadness, the hurt. It brings tears to my eyes.
You know, it hurt the community. You know, they took it personally.
But no one is more devastated by the news than Katrina's family.
It was heartbreaking and they were pretty distraught.
They were crushed. When Frankie had been found alive, the family was really hoping that Katrina would be found alive too.
While the search for Katrina is over, the hunt for her killer is just beginning, and detectives have already identified a suspect.
Shortly before they found Katrina, Fred's ex-wife, Yara, told detectives that Fred had tried to kill her.
But it's what Fred allegedly said during the assault that really stands out to detectives.
According to his ex-wife, he said, if I can't have you, no one will.
That gave us the idea that he was volatile and that he was very possessive of women.
Detectives are now wondering, had Fred Leonard murdered Katrina as payback for striking up a relationship with Jack Rafferty? Whoever the killer, and whatever the motive, it's obvious that Katrina met a violent end.
She had a serious injury to the head, and the injury to the head looked like it was done with a tire iron.
When Katrina's autopsy is released on April 26, 2008, it reveals another gruesome detail about her murder.
The blow to the head didn't kill her.
The exact cause of death was strangulation.
Performing the autopsy, they did find a real thin silver wire that was wrapped around her neck.
The wire was so thin and wrapped so tight that it was embedded in her skin.
Dead bodies, they start to swell after a long period of time, especially after it's being warm.
The medical examiner's findings only deepen their suspicions about Fred Leonard.
He had done this to his prior wife.
The same way, with wire around the neck. So that was significant.
With circumstantial evidence mounting, detectives decide to dig deeper into Fred's alibi and bring his uncle in for questioning.
According to Fred, he'd been working with his uncle until after 2 o'clock.
He had been helping his uncle build a house when Katrina disappeared. Then he'd gone home, cleaned up, then picked up his wife from work around 3 p.m.
But that's not what Fred's uncle says.
The uncle gave a statement that Fred had received a phone call at about 11:45 that morning, and that he had left.
Maybe about 4 o'clock or so in the afternoon, Fred Leonard did come back.
Once he returned, he told him that if anybody asks you where I have been, you tell them that I've been here.
Since Katrina disappeared sometime between noon and 3 o'clock, and Fred picked his wife up at 3, this gives him a window of time to commit this crime.
But can detectives prove it? When they receive the crime lab's report on Katrina's abandoned car, it offers little help.
There were no prints that we know of that were recovered inside the automobile at all. And there's no DNA.
However, detectives do have a potential witness. Fred and Katrina's 3-year-old son, Frankie. That is, if he's not too traumatized to give a statement.
Envision what went on in those woods overnight when that child was lying out there and what he had to go through.
This little boy is their only witness, so detectives have to proceed very carefully.
With a small child, there's a lot of feelings involved, especially, if you're talking about a parent or a guardian or someone they love.
Thankfully, Frankie's condition has stabilized, and he has even been released from the hospital. In an interview with Frankie and his grandmother, Carol, investigators ask him the million-dollar question.
I asked him, I said, who tied you up?
My daddy did it.
The child said exactly that. My daddy did it.
In Clarksdale, Mississippi, detectives investigating the murder of Katrina Dumas have just made a breakthrough in their investigation.
So, can you tell us who tied you up?
My daddy did it.
According to Katrina's 3-year-old son, Frankie, his father, Fred Leonard, is the one who tied him up and left him in the woods.
Talking to him, he was pretty adamant, that his dad was the one that did this to him.
Frankie's statement is enough for detectives to issue a warrant for Fred Leonard's arrest.
He was arrested at a friend's home.
Once we got to the police department, I took him upstairs and we began the interview there.
With their entire case riding on the statement of a young child, detectives hope to wring a confession out of Fred.
Detectives suspect that Fred was behind the anonymous phone call that led to Frankie's rescue, which may indicate that he was struggling with regret.
The mother of your child was found murdered.
There was a picture of all of them together as a family photo. So I took this with me when I went back to interview Fred. I turned the picture over and I put it in front of him.
You did this.
Fred just kind of glanced at it and looked back up.
I didn't do nothing.
He just had a dead look to him, and he never would look back at the picture ever again.
Even though they're unable to secure a confession, detectives are confident Fred Leonard is their man.
He was ultimately charged with capital murder, kidnapping of Katrina and the kidnapping of little Frankie, and child abuse.
But the investigation is far from over.
On April 29th, detectives execute a search warrant on his home to look for more possible evidence.
When his house was searched, law enforcement found some wire
that was tested and was found to be the same type of wire that was found around Katrina's neck.
But that's not all.
They found child support papers that we believe he had hid from his wife.
This makes detectives believe that Fred may not have only had a means to commit murder, but he also had a motive too.
Katrina was requiring him to have to pay for his son, which he hadn't been paying for. And he was so angry about it.
When Fred stands trial on November 9th, 2009, this new evidence plays a crucial role in the prosecution's case.
Our argument was that he killed Katrina because he was losing control of her. She had started to see other men. She had went and filed child support against him.
She kept calling this number that was the child support area of the welfare department.
According to the prosecution's theory, the child support proceedings also allowed Fred to concoct a plan to bring Katrina back under his thumb.
Prosecutors believe that she was trying to call things off and get child support from him. And Fred allegedly convinced Katrina to meet him in downtown Clarksdale with this made-up story that they would get the child support situation figured out.
They drop Fred's car off at the alley, and they all get into Katrina's car. They start heading down towards Fred's house because she was going to get the first child support payment.
But Fred had other plans.
Why you gotta be coming at me with all this paperwork?
He wanted her to drop the child support and to stop seeing other men and to get back under his wing.
Filling your head up with stuff.
Get out of my car. Do you hear yourself?
Chick, who you think you talking to? Huh? Girl, where you?
He probably still loved her and wanted her back, and that jealousy turned to anger and rage.
Prosecutors believe at some point Fred's anger boiled over.
What the hell is wrong with you? Huh?
What is your problem?
What is your problem? You know I'll be taking care of you and my son. You ain't got to even worry about that.
Okay. You know what? Just take me back. It's psychotic at this point and crazy. What is wrong with you?
He pulls the tire iron out and hits Katrina in her head.
It didn't have to be like this.
Fred, what are you doing?
That injury was enough to subdue her.
Prosecutors assert that once Katrina was on the ground, Fred pulled out the wire.
I think that he planned to strangle her, but I don't think he planned to kill her. And that it just went too far.
It was a heat of passion moment that he did this in that, you know, if he couldn't have her to himself, then would nobody else be with her?
Once Katrina was dead, Fred loaded her body into the trunk. But before he abandoned her at the graveyard, he took care of one loose end.
His 3-year-old son had witnessed all of this violence against his mother.
He was stuck with the child, so he had to make some decisions.
The question is, what was running through you when you decided to leave your child, your flesh and blood, out there to die?
I believe that he just couldn't bring himself to actually kill his son. And he figured if he left him in the woods, that nature would take its course and that, you know, the animals would get him and he could kind of dispose of him without actually disposing of him.
After committing this terrible crime, Fred gets back into Katrina's car and goes back to the alley where he leaves her car and gets into his car to go pick up his wife.
But leaving his son in the woods may have proved too much for Fred's conscience.
My belief is that Fred Leonard made a call to someone connected to him, and that person directed Frederick to where little Frankie was found.
Frankie!
Luckily, the call came just in time to save young Frankie's life.
Anything could have happened to her, baby. Telling y'all, it's a God if you believe in him. God is great. God is good.
If not for that intervention, it could have easily been a double murder.
Now, at the tender age of 4, Frankie takes the stand as the prosecution's star witness.
When you have such a young witness/victim, it's really difficult to, determine whether or not it's going to be beneficial to put them on the stand.
It is a risk because you don't know what they're going to say or what they're going to do.
Children that go through trauma have a difficult time remembering really specific details. They can tell you the overall picture, but trying to get them to hone in on specific details is really difficult because they're trying to block the whole instance out of their mind as a defense mechanism to protect themselves. They might say what you want in prep, but then when they get on the stand, they might clam up. They might just say anything.
It was a 4-year-old and testifying in front of a lot of grown-ups. He was pretty scared, and he was scared to have to speak in front of his father.
Nevertheless, Frankie finds the courage to tell the court everything he remembers about that fateful day.
He remembers driving to a church with his mom and dad and remembers his mother crying at one point.
He testified that Daddy hit Mom in the head and threw her in the trunk.
The child was able to provide information that his father put, he called, a string around her neck, that his father had tied him up and had left him.
He says that his mother didn't try to help him because blood was coming out of her nose.
Frankie's testimony leaves the courtroom speechless.
The moment that he says that Daddy did it, it's one of the most hurtful things that anyone could even imagine.
However, when it comes time to identify Daddy in court, the risk of putting a 4-year-old on the stand is suddenly all too real for prosecutors.
When the DA asked my little brother, point to your daddy, he pointed to a whole different man.
That it was his older sister's dad, because that's who he had started referring to as Daddy after the incident had taken place.
The defense makes the most of the opportunity.
When you have a case like this where the case is hinging on the testimony of a child, and the child gets up there and changes their story and says their daddy is another man, any defense attorney would keep honing in on that.
Will it be enough to raise reasonable doubt?
The defense attorney made a lot of different assumptions about who possibly could have done it other than Fred.
The defense argued that the investigators overlooked a possible drug angle.
The defense attorney tried to say that her death was somehow related to marijuana plants being found in an area where her body was located.
But the jury finds Frankie's testimony extremely compelling.
The jury came back with guilty on all counts.
However, the jury doesn't give prosecutors everything they wanted.
In Mississippi, when you're charged with murder and another underlying felony, you can face the death penalty. In this case, we were going for the death penalty, and the jury chose not to give him death.
Fred was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole, plus 30 years for kidnap, plus 30 years for child abuse.
Despite the guilty verdict, Fred Leonard's family still believes he's innocent.
He loved Mama Trina, man. He loved that woman. Ain't no telling who did. I'm not putting nothing past nobody.
Regardless, Fred will spend the rest of his life paying for what happened that fateful spring afternoon. But he's not the only one.
Everybody took a loss. From my family to the Duma family.
Especially Katrina and Fred's only son, who will not only have to deal with his mother's death, but must live with the fact that she died at the hands of his own father.
You kill his mother in front of him, and then you leave him there to die. He's a monster, and there's no other way to see him.
The family was, and still is, I understand, very sensitive about her death. Even after close to 10 years, they're still suffering from the loss.
You know, it's sad, man. And I'm pretty sure everybody feel that way. Man, crush ain't even a word. Throughout the years, you know, it's gonna always stay with you. My heart goes out to